Sorry guys, I just realized that my sound were off. So here I am shoutcasting. My name is Benvarmeren and and today I'll be shoutcasting on my own because Bliss is unfortunately having some connection problems. So I'll be doing it on my own, and I haven't exactly set up my stream to do so, but I hope you all can cope with it. I just have a small amount of things to fix. Let me get it all done. So no, that is not it. That is not it either. Okay. I have to remove this one. Awesome, there we go. Okay, so we're on the ping and ban phase. Rise is here, Braum being banned out for different dimensions. Nidalee, Echo, Kindred being banned for Wild Esport, and they, for different dimensions, they have picked up Gragas as their first pick, a flex pick as he can go to both the jungle and to the top lane. For WiLD.CoolerMaster, they have gone for Trundle and Elise, so they're taking a fairly good jungler. She's still strong. She's not exactly god tier, but she's still very strong. And then Trundle, who is also a flex pick because he can go to bottom lane or to the top lane, and his subjugate will still be very strong, especially when you send him up against someone like Maokai that just got picked up by different dimensions, and they will also pick up Janna. So now whoever Trundle is going to be playing against, which is most likely going to be the Maokai, as you are now going to be sending Gragas to the top lane, to the jungle, his subjugate will be so strong, and it will just allow him to take away all of the armor and magic resistance off his target. So definitely a good pickup for WiLD.CoolerMaster. Already countered a little bit of the composition that different dimensions are going for. And with different dimension going for a bit more team fighting, peeling kind of composition, with Maokai, Gragas, Janna all having disengage and being able to peel. Different dimension, they definitely have the need to get some heavy AP in the mid lane and some heavy AD as well, because else they won't have too much damage and they will fall flat in any team fights that will occur, and definitely also in their laning phases. So what I was saying was that I really like what WiLD.CoolerMaster has been doing, because they have gone for Sivir, Trundle, Elise, Alistar. All of these can really pick people out of position, and then you have to engage with Sivirs on the hunt. So at this point you really have some good ways of getting into any team fights. And even in the laning phase, you have a good way of getting in, picking people out of position as well. With that cocoon coming from Lisa, and now also Vel'Koz being picked up, you have so much single target burst on this composition for WiLD.CoolerMaster, that picking people out of position, shutting down that double 80 carry composition that different dimension has been building, it's not going to be that hard if they play correctly, because different dimension, while they have some good matchups in both the bottom lane and arguably the mid lane, their strong laners ought to not fall behind because of them being that strong laners. But that's where Elise comes into the picture. With her cocoon and her bursty nature in the early game, also before she gets the runic echoes, she's actually going to have a strong impact because of that cocoon allowing her to pick people out of position. And then you have the crowd control that can come out of both Trundle with his pillar, Alistar with his headbutt and knock-up combo, and Vel'Koz also has his knock-up. So there are a lot of CC that can come out of that composition, and they definitely have some clear win conditions on how to shut down different dimension. And different dimension, they definitely have some good ways to teamfight, yes, because they can peel for both of their double 80 carries, and They can also, if they want to, of course, go into sieges, because you have Caitlyn, you have Janna, and you have your frontliners that can allow you to go in, start to siege up. But you're not going to really be able to do that, because you are against Sivir and the Vel'Koz, and both of those champions can really do a lot of wake clear, and therefore you don't really want to go up against those in a siege, because they will just completely neutralize your siege. So that's not what you want to do. If you, however, want to go for sieges, you might as well just aim for getting Dragon's Wrath, which is the second buff you get from Dragon. If you could go for that, you would have more damage that will come out onto towers, because you get burns from your auto attacks, which would definitely be good. It would allow you to take down towers faster, which is something that different dimension definitely are looking at doing, just taking down towers really fast and trying to snowball in your mid game, because for them, they want to utilize Corki's mid game power spike with that Trinity Force, and allowing Caitlyn to get a smoother transition into the mid game as well, because Caitlyn aren't exactly the best mid game champion. She does tend to fall a little bit off. However, if you go for something like a Ruined Hurricane as your first item, you already have a good transition, kind of. But Corki will definitely help you make it smoother, and that would definitely be what you are looking for. So we are about to head into the game, and I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. Well, I'm not that familiar with WiLD.CoolerMaster, but I have seen different dimensions before, and different dimension, they know how to team fight, they know how to play their composition to their limits, to their win conditions. They know how to roam around the map. They know how to outplay their opponents. So I'm sure that if WiLD is as good as I think they are, because they made it all the way to the group stages, it's going to be a good match, because both teams, they are high in solo queue, and then they definitely have their mechanical skills on point. If you just take a look at the loading screen, you can see that it's only one person on the side of WiLD.CoolerMaster that has a diamond border, so everybody else should be fairly good. I do not believe anything else. I think it's going to be a good match, but for Maokai, we haven't really touched on Maokai versus Trundle. It's going to be, I'd like to say it should be a bad matchup for Maokai, because of Trundle having so much AD, but actually I think the matchup, once that Maokai gets his Spectre's Cowl, I think it's going to be better for him, because it just gives him more sustain, and he already has his Sap Magic, which is a very, very strong ability for sustaining in laning phase. So you can already at that point start to out-sustain Vazir, and when you can out-sustain Vazir, then your only next concern is to out-push him, because Trundle will be looking at pushing a lot, something you definitely can do. And actually just his sapling got noticed in the top lane, so different dimension, they know that there are a Trundle being played by Vazir there, and now they also know where Elise is. So a lot of free vision, I'd like to call it, I guess. It's been given over to different dimension, and they now can play a little bit around that. But it's not like they exactly want a lane swap, because Maokai aren't that good lane swaps, and he would function better with his Sap Magic against Trundle. But also Caitlyn and Janna is generally just a strong matchup, and going up against Sivir and Alistar, they are going to be having a hard time because of Caitlyn just being such a ridiculous poker. And so will Janna be. They will poke a lot in the laning phase. That's why you can also see Sivir and Alistar going for the Crux, which is very, very smart, because obviously, yes, Caitlyn is also going for it, but you want to get the Grump, because it gives you that small power boost in your laning phase, and you definitely need that. You don't want to, if Caitlyn and Janna were doing the Crux, give them the small power buff in the laning phase. So smart of them to go for that, and smart of both teams to go for that small strategic aspect in the early game. And you can already take a look at how much damage Highamaid and Hextasy is taking in the bottom lane. They are definitely getting bullied a small bit by different dimensions, but bottom lane. And for the jungle pressure in the early game, I'm expecting to see a bit more coming out of Funskei, because Elise is that early game jungler. You need to snowball in Elise, because else she will start to fall off in the late game, and she'll just be a cocoon bot more or less. And you don't want to do that. You want to utilize her early game power. You want to get a runic echo so fast. Actually, talking about Elise having to snowball, she is in the top lane and she hasn't been spotted by Tennessee, so we could potentially see something come out of that. Here goes Trundle, he's landing a slow onto Tennessee. Tennessee is getting stuck, and here comes Funskei. Funskei is putting a lot of damage on the Tennessee. Tennessee taking a lot of damage, is about to go down to the first blood for Vasir, and Vasir gets the first blood. So now your snowballing on the side of different dimension has already started, and they can now look forward to having that good matchup against Maokai in the top lane. And giving it up to Vasir is definitely not too bad. It allows him to start pushing in the top lane, which is something you definitely want to get, because if you can start to outpush that Maokai, then that is very, very good. And I like what Lini and G were doing while Funskei were in the top lane. Oh, Vasir is taking a lot of damage actually. Tennessee going back onto him, just used the teleport to come up, but Vasir is taking a lot of damage. Tennessee might flash this, he still has his flash up, but in the end Vasir is forced to flash and will get away with his life intact. But a flash going over to the side of Tennessee, definitely a good trade. And as I was saying, I like what Lily and G were doing in meanwhile while Funskei were in the top lane, because he invaded, he put down a lot of vision as well, helped his team on staying secure and playing to his strong lane, with allowing the bottom lane to be fairly safe with all that vision around the bottom side of the jungle. Hungry Panda and Miracolo is still fighting a lot against Highamaid, and Highamaid is getting bullied a lot here in the bottom lane. She nearly has no health left, and she doesn't even have a cookie left. And talking about cookies, they got nerfed here in patch 6.8, which we are playing on. They now give less early health regain, because you when you use it, you get some fixed health, and they don't give as much anymore. They now give a smaller amount, and they give more mana instead. But it certainly doesn't help with Highamaid sustaining in that bottom lane where she is getting bullied a lot. And Hungry Panda just keeps going forward, using that shield to deal some extra damage, bullying even more. Oh, actually I can see I made a small mistake there on the overlay. So anyways, Worldclass is back into the mid lane, and for the mid lane is looking fairly stable. Nobody's really pulling far ahead. It's only in the bottom lane and in the top lane we can start to see a CS lead developing, because Vasir were able to start a lead while while Tennessee was dead after giving up the first blood. And therefore there is a small lead. However, it's not that big, but it's definitely a lead that'll help Azir on his path to snowballing and just out-sustaining Tennessee in the laning phase. But in the bot lane, we can still see that Higher Mate is having a bit of trouble. She has sustained a lot of health back, and Miracolo could definitely play this to a more bully point of view. He has more potential to do so just because of... Oh, actually Elise is coming into the mid lane. Lolo was taking a lot of damage. Oh, the ultimate coming out of... Whew, Vel'Koz nearly taking down Lollius, but not quite enough. And with Lollius nearly going down, it gives a lot of freedom over to ADM to push in, but ADM is still behind in terms of farm, just by 2 CS, and while it's not a lot, it's definitely something that could have been improved on. But here comes Gragas. We might see a flash body slam onto Higher Mate. Yeah, there we go. Higher Mate is able to come away. Oh, LLNG might going to go down. No, both the heal and the monsoon will come out of Miracolo and Hungry Pan GG respectively, and will save Lily and G on his small path there into the enemy jungle, not using his flash and staying a little bit too much under the tower. So while all that was happening, we could see that Funski were going to the jungle of different dimension, just playing a little bit around there, stealing away some resources, etc, etc. And now Lollius is moving to the top side, might get hit by Cocoon. Oh no, Funski will miss, and here comes ADM, but LLNG is also there, and nothing will actually come out of that. Funski is forced to flash, so definitely a good trade for a different dimension as they get a bit more over to their side, but not too much gained in the end. Definitely, it's better than nothing. Now we could see that ADM, his first item going back was the Sorcerer Shoes. So with him getting Sorcerer Shoes, it allows him to get this small early buff where he will deal so much damage, and his abilities has such a high AP scaling basically, so that magic penetration is so beneficial in the early games. And you know, you won't be able to burst through anyone if you don't get a bit of magic penetration over the side of Vel'Koz, because nothing gained, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that should be what you are looking for. And Vel'Koz, you need to just keep spamming your abilities, try to land them, and get a lot of early game magic penetration, which comes from the Sorcerer Shoes. Now Lollius is moving to the top side, and he has the big package. Vasir might not like the big package, but here, oh, actually no big package coming out of Lollius. I think it just moved out, and here they are actually trying to dive him, and Lollius will go down to ADM, and so will Tennessee. Tennessee getting killed by the Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz, a very nice roam to the top side. In the end, will be picking up 2 kills, and for it, WiLD.CoolerMaster, they are shutting down a bit of this team fighting composition that different dimensions were going for. Now Hungry Panda will be landed by Cocoon and will have to flash away from the flash pulverize that came out of Hextasy. Hextasy not quite able to land it, but definitely a good trade when you get a flash for flash. And WiLD.CoolerMaster, while they have 3 kills, they are only ahead by 200 gold, which is not too much considering the 3 kills that they have, but it's generally just the CS differential that are in the jungle and in the bottom lane that is keeping a different dimension up in this game, because they don't exactly have too much CS over the side of different dimension, but it is enough to keep this game more or less even. It's only 400 gold separating the two teams. And Caitlyn were able to come back and buy both a BF sword and a pickaxe. So she's packing a good punch right now. Also getting the Kirche's shard. So a lot of damage is being packed by her. And Higher Mate were also able to get both a BF sword and Corfell's Warhammer. So both of these 8 carries are packing a good punch. But it is just better for Miracola with that build, because she has been itemizing very early for lane game dominance with that Kirche's shard. It gives a lot of burst over to the already very AD heavy Caitlyn. And now in the top lane, Tennessee's having a lot of trouble. He's being forced to go for a Sunfire early to deal with the pushing potential that Vasir has at this point, with him itemizing for a what most likely is going to be a the opposite of the Ravenous Hydra. I just forgot what it's called. It's called Titanic Hydra. There we go. But Gragas is lurking around the mid lane, but also Hextasy is about to come up there. We might see some action happening. Here we go, Flash Polarized. Actually, ADM is able to come away, and here comes Hextasy. This is going to be a good ult coming out of ADM, picking up the kill onto Lolaros, and ADM might get another kill, but here comes Hungry Panda, and LNG isn't done yet. Hungry Panda taking a lot of damage from ADM, and ADM is trying to turn this around. Hungry Panda taking a lot of damage. Unbreakable Will being popped by Hextasy, but both of them will be able to come back, so it's only going to be a 1-for-0 in the end, with ADM getting another kill. He's on a killing spree. Here comes Trundle. Miracola getting hit by a Cocoon, taking a lot of damage. Monsoon being forced to get used, and Hungry Panda will save Miracola, and they will get out of there. A tower and a kill, and a lot of summoners also going over to the side of WiLD.CoolerMaster. They are definitely taking their fair share of the cake and are not giving up without a fight. They definitely are also dominating this game. They are in the driving seat, and now they're also going for the first dragon of the game. And with them going for the first dragon of the game, someone like ADM that already has 3 kills will just get so much stronger, because he gets 6% extra AD and AP. It couldn't be better at all for ADM, and I'm sure that ADM are very much looking forward to just going back into lane now that he got a needlessly large rod. He's packing a good punch with both his Morellonomicon, his needlessly large rod, and his Sorcerer's Shoes. But different dimension, they will get a consolation prize of the Rift Herald, and that is going to be fine enough. I mean, Rift Herald will obviously be a good investment if they can get to some towers, which is just a problem at this point, because in the pick and ban phase I talked about how Lolaros taking a lot of damage. ADM picking up another kill onto Lolaros, and my god, ADM is on a killing spree, definitely making those Sorcerer's Shoes and all of his other items working for him. But as I was saying, in the pick and ban phase, there is a lot of weight clear on the side of WiLD.CoolerMaster. So for different dimension, while they were going for kind of a siege composition slash team fight composition, they now have literally no chance of sieging, because A, you've given up a lot of gold to the 2 main wave players on the side of WiLD.CoolerMaster, and B, you have fed ADM. So at this point, a siege composition that has been shut down is not really going to be that effective. Actually, talking about being shut down, Tennessee might get visited here by both Vasir, Funskar and Hextasy, and they are diving. Tennessee taking a lot of damage, is about to go down, but Hungry Panda keeping him alive with the Monsoon, and WiLD.CoolerMaster will be forced to go out and get away from that tower, as Lolaros were coming down, swinging around with his big package. Nothing you want to get into your face, and Lulus will just use that big package to come back into the middle lane. And they will start to push up to first base. Definitely something you want to be looking at shutting down. Oh, Hungry Panda taking a lot of damage. He's about to go down. Vasir is going to be taking up that kill onto Hungry Panda. And different dimensions. Sorry, different dimension. They haven't gotten a single kill. They are behind by 400 gold. And now Higher Mate might get taken down. Oh, actually, the explosive barrel will be... Oh my god, it will be not landing. And ADM will be saving Higher Mate. Very unfortunate by LNG to not pick up that kill onto Higher Mate, and ADM making some huge plays, saving his teammates, saving the perfect game more or less. Only a tower has gone over to the side of different dimension, and WiLD.CoolerMaster are, well, I guess they are in the driving seat. I'd say they have thrown different dimension out the passenger seat, and they are the ones only driving not only driving the car, but controlling the lane that they're driving in as well, because they are the ones making so many plays. And I'd like to point out that ADM has 6 kills out of 8 kills and no assists, while everybody else on this team only has 2 assists or 2 kills. Except for Vasir that has 2 kills and 2 assists. So for ADM, he's been part of more than half the kills on his team. He's definitely been a huge part of this game. And different dimension. The problem is that they need to find picks. They need to utilize Corki. Because there is your burst damage and your supposedly mid-game power spike, something you can't really do anymore because he is so far behind. He only just got his 24s. And Kaylin was supposed to be your late game carry, which is something you won't be getting in the late game anymore, because she, while not being behind, won't get the necessary time and resources to farm up to the point where she's going to be very strong. So at this point, you just need to wave clear and unseat the siege that will come out of WiLD.CoolerMaster. I know that sounds very weird, but you need to unseat the siege. And that is basically it. You have to hope for the best, you have to prepare for the worst, as different dimension. And if we give them a little bit of credit, we are only 20 minutes into the game, so it's not over yet. They definitely have the chance to come back into this game, and we shouldn't be counting them out quite yet, because there are obviously that possibility of them getting back into the game. But they just can't fight unless they find a pick, because all of the damage they can come out with can come out better by WiLD.CoolerMaster. So what you would really like to get a pick on would be ADM, because he is the really strong one, and he's the one that has the big juicy bounty. But ADM ought to never be in any trouble. He should never be out of position. He should just be grouping with his team, which is something that WiLD.CoolerMaster could be doing at this point. They could just be grouping up. That they have a good siege composition, with Vel'Koz and Sivir having enough necessary sustained damage and poke to take down towers. Vel'Koz being the poker, Sivir being the sustained damage. You can go in, start to siege up, shouldn't be that big of a problem. And now Miracola will be caught, but a power pause will come out, and Funsky is alone there, so he has to be very careful if he decides to go in onto Miracola, something I think he might be about to. No, he hasn't used his ult yet, he just used his full combo. But getting some help from ADM or Higher Mate or Hexasy, which are the 3 people that are in the mid lane, is going to be a little bit hard, because they definitely had to run a fairly long way. And Funsky could come into a lot of trouble by then. And here comes Fullsky going on to Miracle, taking a lot of damage, but here comes the rest of his team. He's forced to flash away. There's the problem about not having the necessary backup, as I was talking about. So in the end, he's forced to use his flash to get away. And on the hunt will also be popped by High Made. A lot of resources being used to save Fullsky. And now LNG might be in some trouble as well, getting hit by the knockup by Velkos, and will go down to the true damage from his ultimate as well. And now they are going on to Lolo's, taking a lot of damage. Fullsky will be able to pick up that kill, so hard engaging is also a way of sieging. Now Hungry Panda might be going down as well. Miro Colo is the only one alive, and he's not going to be able to wave clear this. He's the only carry that is alive. Let me rephrase that. Now Tennessee is the big frontliner, but he can definitely not deal with all the siege that will come out of WiLD.CoolerMaster. But they will just back off, play it safe, and now head over to their base. Use all of the gold that they just earned, because they have a lot of gold, especially ADM. Definitely have a lot of gold to go back and spend. You can take a look here. See, ADM has around 2,200 gold. Everybody else having more or less 1,000 gold to play around with. But its tower will be picked up, while the rest were backing by different dimensions. So they know that they have to look for towers, because towers are ambient gold that is basically just lying around waiting to get picked up. So good of them to know that that they can pick up that tower. But again, if WiLD.CoolerMaster they want to go in again and siege, it's not going to be a problem for them, because they are this far ahead. You have a strong front line of both Trundle and Elise is starting to be a front line as well. Alistar is also a front line, building very tanky. Then you have Sivir and Velkos, and they will be that sustained damage and the poke damage that you will need. And they can just, if they want to, hard engage, like we might be seeing from Hextasy. No, not quite, but hard engage they definitely can. And even if it goes bad, the front line of different dimension is going to be the only thing that can really stop WiLD, because there's not a lot of damage on the side of different dimension as well. Okay, let me rephrase that. I just took a look at the items. I didn't see that while I was saying that. So basically, they have damage, but if their front line will die from the big damage that can come out of ADM, because he is true damage, then you having some crit will not be of any use to you, basically. Because they have crit, yes. It is good in long drawn out team fights, but WiLD will not allow long drawn out team fights. It's basically not going to be that way. They just want to shut them down really, really fast, and that's why Misery loves company. You have finally a slimmer of hope, and you're not going to be utilizing it. As I said, you're not going to be having those long drawn out team fights if WiLD plays it correctly, because they have that burst. Different dimension will be having a lot of trouble against that. They can't get long sustained team fights. But we are back to a 4-0-1 pushing, with Trundle being in bottom side, just slowly pushing up the waves, which is fine. He has his teleport, so does Tennessee, so why not just go there and start to push up. Now the problem is for WiLD that they had to start sieging up, and you have to maybe find a way of hard engaging, because it seems like they are respecting Caitlyn a lot, and ADM not really being able to land his Qs as well, so that they can go in. But it looks like different dimension might be looking at giving up this tower. They have to be really careful, because if the tower falls, then you have to fall back to your base. Yes, the tower falls. Now you have to fall back to your base. Now the base is the only thing you can defend, because you don't have any other towers left. And basically at this point, that is your win condition for different dimensions at this point. Just looking at defending your towers, utilizing Caitlyn, who should be going. Yeah, she's not going for traps a second. I'm still sad. I hate it when people don't go for traps as their second max on Caitlyn, just because you get so much more out of maxing your traps a second. It allows you to get more traps out. It allows you to unsiege or to siege, because you get all of that control out of the zone with them, and you don't really need that extra mobility. As Caitlyn, you have such a huge auto attack range that you should never be in any trouble at all. So as I was saying, for different dimensions, they have to be looking at Wakeling, and for WiLD they have to be looking at sieging, and they have a good champion to do so, because you have Wilkos and he's going to be poking a lot. So for them, they can definitely siege up and poke, and now Hungry Panda might be caught out, is forced to use the Monsoon, and Cocoon will not land on the hunt. The only thing also being popped for that Monsoon and Flash coming out of Hungry Panda. Definitely a very good trade coming out for them. And now for WiLD, they might be looking for a Baron. They can, at this point, it looks like they don't want to be sieging. They can be sieging, obviously. They have the good composition. They can survive that Wake player that can come out of Miracolo and Lullivers. It's good, but it's something you can play around. You can just poke with ADM, push up with higher mate all the time, use the ricochets, and then go in, put down a little bit of damage onto the towers, and then slowly choke the different dimension out of their base. So look for that. But as they don't want to do that, you can see on your minimap that they have placed down a lot of wards around the Baron pit. So that tells me that they want to be Baron dancing. They want to be going for that, instead trying to bait different dimension over there. But they could also just start up the Baron. There's no vision for different dimension there, and different dimension might have some spider senses tingling as LNG and Hungry Panda are going there. Oh, Funsky flashing in, Cocoon landing onto Hungry Panda. Hungry Panda is about to go down, and now LNG is the one that is being focused. Funsky is doing a lot of damage, but Kaden is also putting down a lot of damage onto him. And Vasir is just putting down a lot of damage onto the bottom lane, picking up that tower. Now Higher Mate is in a lot of trouble. It will go down. First kill of the game for Different Dimension, going over to the side of LNG. And now the team fight aren't done yet. Corey will take a lot of damage. ADM will go down. The Funsky has found a kill onto Miracolo. Vasir is just taking that inhibitor in the bottom lane. Nothing Tennessee can do about it. So in the end, not a bad trade. 3 for 2, but an inhibitor for WiLD.CoolerMaster as well. Oh, Funsky might go down as well. Lullivers is taking a lot of damage. Will pick up that shutdown. So 3 kills over to the side of Different Dimension. Not too bad now. Vasir is maybe in a lot of trouble as Hungry Panda comes there. Tennessee flashing over to Vasir is not going to be able to catch him, but an inhibitor gained for the side of WiLD. Very, very good for them, because that means that bottom lane will be pushing, and Vasir can start to go alongside his team. You can just go to the mid lane, you can send your team to the top lane, or vice versa, and then you can start to really group up kind of as a team. Because they, as we just saw, they don't have that much damage. That much damage when it comes to Baron. So avoiding starting out the Baron would be advisable. Then just Baron dance like you were doing before. Wait for a Different Dimension to come in there, choke them out of vision. Make sure that they will fall in the trap, and then they will get backstabbed. Because if they fall in the trap, then that Cocoon, the knockups, the crowd control is going to be in their home place. It's going to be strong, and it'll pick up their kills. That it'll help them with winning. But still, play around ADM. He's your most important member on your team right now. He's the most important thing for WiLD right now. He's the only one that really separate you for the side. And now Higher Mate is taking a lot of damage. Just look at that. Despite Lollywas being so far behind, he can still deal out so much damage. And that is the beauty of Corky being so bursty. So you force Higher Mate back. You force him to use his on the hunt. A good trade. You don't even force a flash on the side of Lollywas. So basically only a phosphorus bomb and auto attack for a on the hunt. Definitely a very good trade. But here comes Lollywas. Vizier can maybe be in some trouble. I'm not quite sure. But it looks like he will be able to get away. And Vizier will just continue to push into the bottom lane. Oh, Hungry Panda can maybe be caught out. Lollywas is forced to go back and join his team as WiLD are really hovering around the top side, putting down a lot of pressure to that side, and Tennessee is just having a lot of trouble against Vizier. Vizier is just putting out so much damage, keep constantly pushing into that bottom lane. And now the Baron will be started by WiLD. They are burning it down very fast, but here comes LNG, and you have to take care of him before you can start up. LNG is forced to body slam away, but Baron has been continued, and LNG is taking a lot of damage. Here comes Hextasy, keeping Miracola away. Tennessee also coming in. WiLD Higher Mate is going to be picking up the side of LNG. Lollywas picking up the kill onto Hextasy, and now Miracola is in a lot of trouble. Cannot deal with Vizier, and Lollywas is not going to be able to save Miracola. Now Vizier is in a lot of trouble as he has no flash. He used it earlier. Might be able to get away. No, we'll get down to the last auto attack, and no Baron for the side of WiLD. Not a good trade, only a 2 for 2, and they can now rotate over to pick up the dragon, which is definitely going to be good for them. It is going to be the 4th dragon, and it can make them consider tower diving, as they will now take 20% less damage from towers. So not too bad at all, and they now have a win condition that says 5th dragon at 39 minutes, which is definitely something you want to be looking at. Why not at all? I mean, if you can play around that, just go for it. It's not going to hurt you anything. But you also have to be very aware of Miracolo at this point, because Miracolo is stacking up a lot of power spikes. He has been farming all game, and Kaden is that late game hyper carry. So you have to be aware of her damage potential at this point, because with her stacking an Infinity Edge, a Rune's Hurricane, and a Rapid Fire Cannon, also a Last Whisper as well, that late game package is more or less here, and you have to take her down, which could be Vizier, just like in the last fight, going for that. But the big package has come out of Lollywas, and I'm not quite sure we will be seeing anything for the side of WiLD in the next 4 minutes, because they can just wait for dragons. Basically, at this point you don't have to force a Baron anymore, because if you force a Baron, then you have the potential to lose it. And if you play to your win condition of a 5th dragon, then you can force a fight without putting yourself into too much risk. Because as I said, you can force a fight, or you can decide to go for the Baron instead of the dragon, which is also a good trade. Either of the objectives will be good enough for WiLD, and WiLD, whatever they get, is going to be good enough. Now Vizier's taking a lot of damage, and Tennessee might be able to find a kill. No, Vizier is just sustaining so much back after using that subjugate. Do not care at all, and Tennessee is looking into the terror of nightmares. Nobody wants to be going up against this Trundle that is so tanky and has so much sustain with his subjugate. Now WiLD are starting to siege up. The problem for WiLD is that they are not trying to siege at all. They're not trying to really look at any ways to adapt to their play style at this point. Because they don't want to invest too much into sieging. With that being said, they force different dimension off of the tower. So never mind what I was saying. They actually invested heavily into into getting that tower. But different dimension, we have to be fair, they allowed them to do so. Now they will have to back off as different dimension are looking for a fight while having a lot of trouble. ADM taking a lot of damage, but here comes Vasir. LNG will go down. Tennessee is onto ADM but cannot take him down alone. And now Tennessee is in a lot of trouble, but so is Vasir, as both Miracolo and Loliros are putting out so much damage. Hungry Panda will also take a lot of damage while backing away, but you still have to be careful of ADM. ADM is lurking in the shadows and is putting out a lot of Qs, landing some here and there, not too much at the moment, but is putting out the damage. But they get an inhibitor, so now 2 inhibitors down. Oh, Tennessee coming out with his home guards. Will be looking for an engage, cannot find that engage however, but this trade favors WiLD heavily as they get so much out of that. They get basically basically an inhibitor and some kills as well. I mean, I even think they gave up less kills than they got kills, so for them a very good trade. But the problem, as we saw in that fight for different dimension, were that they had no front line to really peel for Loliros and Miracolo, because they were just left alone in the backline, and Vasir were all onto Miracolo and Loliros, and they were taking a lot of damage, but they were kiting and keeping Vasir from killing them. Oh, on the hunt being popped, LNG might be in some trouble a little bit early for that on the hunt, but are looking for a kill onto LNG. LNG will be forced to flash away, will also get hit by a Velcos Q, which is called a plasma fission. Now I know that, good. But they force LNG away. LNG might not be able to go back to his base as WiLD are starting up the Baron. This is very risky. The dragon is respawning in 45 seconds, but they want to invest onto this Baron. It's going down very soon. Hungry Panda getting taken down. Now LNG is the next target. ADM is left all alone with Loliros, and ADM will go down. Now the Baron is the next target. Tennessee is also taking a lot of damage. Higher Mate is taking a lot of damage coming from the Caitlyn, and Funsky might go down. Oh, will go down to the rocket, and LNG coming in from the side will miss the the body slam. Now Loliros is getting focused by Vasir, so is Miracolo, but they take him away. He's not able to go into them and force them away. Only Loliros and Miracolo left, while Higher Mate, Vasir and Hasty is alive. Actually, never mind, Higher Mate is dead, but take a look at the base. Minions are pushing. They got one tower. Minions are pushing in both lanes, and that last tower is sure to fall very, very soon. Actually, killing Loliros and Miracolo will be able to get away. So now WiLD can look at picking up the dragon. Funsky has just respawned. Higher Mate respawning in 25. But you don't want to give this up. You need try to force a fight and win that fight convincingly. Else it is different dimensions game, because we are that late into the game that both their carries, despite being shut down more or less in the laning phase, is in a lot of trouble. Actually, it is going to be different dimensions starting up that Baron. Vasir taking a lot of damage. Higher Mate just respawning, and this dragon will go down to the side of different dimension. They get their first dragon. So good to get that 6% AD and AP. And now WiLD is mad. They are looking at forcing a fight against LNG, but cannot find it. And WiLD, they have to get the Baron here. They have to push their limits. They have to get this, or they are going to be stalling this game out for longer and longer and longer. And different dimension, they like that. Oh, Hungry Panda will get picked out of position. It's going to be going down, and for WiLD, this is good for them, because now that means that they can play a little bit around with their man advantage. A tower will go down in the mid lane for a different dimension, and WiLD are knocking on the front door. They want to get that last inhibitor and force two super minions to spawn in every lane. Now they just need that inhibitor in the mid lane as well. They might get here. Actually, LNG is going in. Higher mid is the one being focused, but LNG is all alone. Miracle getting taken down by Funsky. Lollywas is also all alone now. Vasir picking up that kill. LNG is now the only one left. Tennessee is actually the only one left and is about to run for his life as this game looks to be over. WiLD playing so good here in the last team fight. They had a lot of trouble in the mid game. They stalled this game out for so long, allowing different dimensions to get a glimmer of hope, but they will be able to pick up the victory. WiLD, despite having that small problem, is going to be victorious. And now we will jump to a small break. When we return, we will have the next game in this best of 3 series, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.